Hello, everyone. I am LaurieAnn. I am that gal from Milton, Ontario, Canada, and I'm with.
I am that guy. I am Roy Miller from Dallas, Texas, and we would like to welcome you to our Lift Your Story podcast.
So, in today's episode, we're pleased to have Erwin Wils, and he is a mindset coach and business strategist. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, LaurieAnn and Roy.
Okay, so I'm looking at your bio. It says, change your language, transform your life. That really interests me. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. I learned 5 years ago when I was specializing in the mindset that language is a very big part of how we interact with each other. For instance, if you look at the word but, it will diminish everything you said before. So a lot of times you hear people say, you did a bad thing. And I would say, yes, but that actually diminishes the yes I'm giving. And if I would change that little word of but into and, then I take full responsibility of what I did and I give you the answer or how I can solve it. So just by using those little changes in your language, your proposition or your communication will improve significantly.
So that would go back to like somebody that says, oh, I'm so clumsy. I'm always dropping things, or I'm always this. So, right? That's the same thing.
Yeah. I heard this quote recently that says a belief is a thought you continue to think. And that's the truth. So if you want to change your belief, you should start thinking another thought. And if you keep repeating it, it will become a new belief for you.
Okay.
Absolutely true.
Was it, if you believe it, you can achieve it?
Yeah, whatever the mind can conceive and believe,
Yeah, that's it.
you can achieve. It's a great quote from Napoleon Hill, and I use it all the time.
Okay.
I
So
would imagine that, sorry, I was just going to say, I would imagine that that's not as easy said as done to remove those thoughts. Because I know I suffer from anxiety and I try and remove the thought that I have it, but it's not the easiest thing to do, right? And I even do the meditation of imagining it leaving me and stuff. But I think obviously your being there to coach people through it is important because it is difficult to do on your own.
Definitely, because you should know that our subconscious mind has a very big part of your daily activities. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to protect you, which also means it has to keep you in your comfort zone. So if you want to get out of this comfort zone, your subconscious might say to you, no, that's dangerous. Watch out. You have to stay in your comfort zone. So it's very hard to change your beliefs by your own. So if there's anybody that could help you to push through, so to speak, or to help you overcome those, that's always a benefit.
Absolutely.
well, and they call it comfort zone for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Because nobody wants to get out of that. It's all that fear of the unknown. What if I fail? What if? What if? But I'm okay right here. Everything's good.
Exactly.
I would imagine that's right up there with the but is the what if. It's like that if word is also one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can give me just an idea of what sort of process, I mean, obviously you have, but to be able to help people, I know it's a subconscious mind, but do you put them through like meditation or do you have a specific program? How would you work this?
I'm a certified professional hypnotherapist by education, by training. So I can directly work with the subconscious mind with my clients if I need to. So that's a big help, of course. And I always like to explain how things work. You said you were facing anxiety. And let's just imagine you have two little boys. They're about 5 years old. They can't swim. It has frozen a few nights and there's ice on the water. And they're challenged to go on the ice. So the first boy, he might be afraid, scared, or even panic and run crying to his mother, right? The second boy could be sitting on the side, put one foot on the ice, put a little pressure on it, stamp on it, do the same with 2 feet. And step by step, he's putting more weight on the ice until finally he's making little steps on the ice, right? In both situations, it's a very positive intention from the subconscious mind, because they didn't jump on the ice without thinking, they didn't went through, they're still alive, so that's very positive. But the first boy, he's protected by fear, anxiety, and even panic, right? The second boy, he is protected by caution. And the subconscious mind doesn't, it doesn't play with certain behavior. It doesn't say, you know, panic has worked in this case. Let's see if determination gives the same result. No, the subconscious mind will say, well, panic and fear has worked in this case, so panic and fear it will be. So you'll understand that the first boy, he won't get as far in his life because he's kept back by fear and anxiety. While the other boy, where caution was used, will make small step in his life, but he will proceed, he will progress, right? Until you're able to talk directly with the subconscious mind and say, you know, this positive intention you should keep, but the behavior you're using to execute it isn't helping my client. So could you come up with different behavior, alternative behavior that keeps this positive intention effectuated, but also makes my client feel happy with herself, with the behavior. And then the subconscious mind will implement alternative behavior.
That's really interesting. One thing though, I do find that, and I was very highly, I think I was telling you, Roy, that I was thinking to go to a hypnotist, because I know you can go to therapists and there's only so much that they can do. A lot of they speak out, but anxiety, sometimes you don't even know why you have it. You can't pinpoint it, and you can speak all you want, but the next day you still have it.
Oh, definitely. And it's another example is, let's say that your parents were both afraid of dogs, right? And when you were little and you were in the buggy and your parents were walking on the street with you, and every time they see a dog, they got scared, you know, they turn around or they cross the street just not to cross that dog. Then for you as a little child, it's normal behavior. You know, you learn it from your parents. So maybe there has never been a dog that ever attacked you or whatever, but it's you just absorbed it from your parents. So it's normal behavior for you to be afraid of dogs. And that's just another example how things can be created. Like, let's put it that way.
You're a product of your environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And going back to the two little boys, you know, that example, which I thought was really a good example, you know, so for people that one that's the panic and all that, growing up into adulthood, that would be the same as having fear of failure.
Yep.
People are afraid to succeed.
Exactly. Yeah, and also people are, you could say, product of their environment, you know, but people also limit themselves without realizing it. You know, when you were just a little baby, you learn to stand on your own 2 feet, right? And the first time you probably fell back on your behind when you tried it, because you never learned how to keep your balance, which joints to use, which muscles to use. But there wasn't any doubt that you wouldn't succeed in your efforts. So you just kept on going, and without realizing it, you were standing on 2 feet. And that's how you learned walking as well. You know, you learn by falling down, getting up, you know, having this feedback or how not to do it. And you could just, you just pursued until you were able to walk.
I
But
like that line. Yeah, sorry.
somehow when you go to primary school, the focus is on the things you can't do, right? They're not focusing on your talents, they're on the things that you're not good at. So it becomes like a default focus for you to see the things you're not good at instead of focusing on your talents.
I know one of my grandsons is I'm going to use soccer as an example. So they go out there to soccer practice. So you got these kids that can kick the ball a mile. I mean, they're just great. Well, Liam will try to kick it. He can't kick it as hard or as far, and he wants to shut down.
Mm.
You know, and my son keeps saying, you know, this guy's been playing longer than you. He's stronger. He's taller. You know, and you know, you just got to keep doing. You got to keep going. You just got to practice, and you'll be able to do that. But he goes out there, and if he can't do what everybody else is doing, he wants to just shut down completely. You know, and my son's really struggling, trying to, you know, encourage him. Just keep trying, keep trying. You know, be real self-conscious.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's a great example you just gave, Roy. And talking about how language can change your behavior, there are 2 things that you're actually said there. Is one is I like a physical test that proves my point, Roy. If you want to, could you try raise one of your hands? Yeah, that's not hard, is it?
No.
But you didn't listen what I said.
Okay.
Because I asked you to try lift one of your hands.
Oh.
And you just did it. So if you say try, it implies that it's difficult. And it gives you some sort of excuse to stop doing it. You know, but you only know if you can do something or not after you've done it.
Okay.
So I always do my best to avoid using the word try. And another thing is, if you're proud of your son, and you could he has done something amazing, you say to him, "I'm proud of you," then you could also get this expectation that your son has to do this to make you proud.
Mhm.
So I have 2 boys, and I never say I'm proud of you. I always say, if they have done something, they've accomplished something, I say, you can be proud of yourself. You know, it's almost the same intention, but you keep it to themselves. So they can be proud of themselves. You know, I'm not connecting it with an expectation from my side.
Wow,
That's
that's
another
really
difference
interesting.
of how to use language, how it can change things.
Yeah, that's just a couple little small little twists that make a huge difference. I mean,
Exactly.
you know, that's very eye-opening to me. I mean, seriously, you think if you're going to tell your son, "Well, I'm really proud of you," you think that's great. Oh, they love that, Dad. Oh, you know, but then saying it where you should be proud of yourself, where they internalize that for themselves, that's that's huge.
Yeah.
I never realized that. I mean, just
And your son could also say to your grandson, if they have a match going on, you know, don't say good luck or do your best. I always say have fun.
yeah, yeah,
And
So
that
as long as they,
positive will help. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really interesting the difference.
definitely. Things that we don't really think about. You know, we
No,
just,
because from our perspective, we're thinking we're encouraging them. You know, from our perspective, we're not thinking about their perception.
It's funny, here I am, I'm in my 50s and my parents are still with me, thank goodness. But, and I've got 3 sisters and we're all the same. We still try and do things to make our parents proud of us because that's, and so when you're talking that, you get right on the ball. Instead of saying, you'll be proud of yourself, they say, oh, we're proud of you. So that's what you're constantly trying to achieve, like you said, the pride for them, because we somehow associate that with them loving us too. It goes
Exactly.
to that step. You know, if I don't do this, they won't love me as much. You know, I'll be a failure to them. So that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I could change
So
that.
I'm
I'm gonna see.
interested. So when you're working with business people, because I'm trying to relate this to what you would say to someone that when you're working with them in their business. So how does that kind of work when your clients, when you're helping them with their business and changing their mindset?
Well, it's like this little things about changing the word but with the word and. You take full responsibility of your own actions. So if I would ask them, did you do the things we agreed upon? And they said, yes, but, then I already know they didn't do the things, right? So then I say, okay, no, yes, and, right? Or if I give them a compliment and they would say, yes, but everybody else did the same thing, then I'm not accepting my compliment. But if they say, yes, and everybody else did the same thing, then they're fully accepting my compliment, and they're saying that the others also deserve the compliment.
That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is really amazing. Just that the what seem to be little small things, what an impact they have,
Oh,
and
definitely.
and you don't realize it.
Another nice one I would like to share with you is if people say, I have to, right? If they say, are you going out tonight? No, I have to stay at home with my boys. And if you just would make that sentence a little longer and say, I have the privilege. Are you going out tonight? No, I have the privilege to stay at home with my boys.
Yeah, and it makes it so that it's not something that's a have to do. It's something that it's a want to do. I think the
Exactly.
other word you probably would say to change, and when I was married, there was a lot of it. You should do this. You should do that. It got to the point that, when my marriage ended, I don't want that word used around me, but I still find myself saying it to myself sometimes. Because
Yeah.
again, that's a word that I find to be negative vocabulary, the should. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be a really good idea if you can, if you thought about maybe doing this or something like that, but yeah, no, not should. So,
Now, another one of LaurieAnn's words is actually.
That's because you know each other a bit longer.
well, funny story there too is that when I wrote a book and I was putting it through, the editor, and it just kept writing off my actually. And I'm going, whoa, how many times do I do that in one sentence? I'm trying, I'm working on it. Still do it, but at least I'm aware of it enough to work on it.
Yeah, she's always
Right.
built. And actually, I keep saying that word actually.
But
Sorry, Laurie.
I would think that too, Erwin, is that there needs to be an awareness, and a lot of people are not aware of these small things to change it, because that's when you change them, is when you become aware. I'm sure that I'm going to be aware now of all the buts I say in my life too.
Yeah, I always use, sometimes I use but as well, but I use it intentionally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I have a rough day, I say, yeah, you probably have a rough day, but I also think you got a lot of good things working for you. Then I minimize the rough day for the person without them realizing it.
Very good.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I mean, a lot of this stuff really should be taught to people when they're young. That would, totally change their life at an early age, instead of getting up and being an adult and then trying to get your mindset changed. And like we talked about, part of your environment, you know, what you see at home, which is normal to you because you're at home as a kid growing up,
Yep.
your parents would have a huge opportunity to change your mindset from an early age, you know, that,
Definitely.
and I mean, let's face it, as a parent, you're doing the best you can to create your life and raise your kids the best you can, and there's no manual, you know, but there's a lot of things that as a parent, I think you could do at an early age when that that mental process is developing, where you can be more positive to your kids and then get them set right from there on.
Definitely. And it's what LaurieAnn says, it all starts with awareness.
Mhm.
It's the same if you, um, but everything goes back to when we were just living in the Stone Age, right? Our focus was on the negative. If we saw something moving in the bushes, we wouldn't go there looking for what kind of pet was behind the bushes, right? It could be a saber-toothed tiger. It could mean that you're not surviving. So we're always focusing on the negative, and you still see it, because if you have a little kid that wants to ride a bike and is learning, most parents would say, don't fall, right? Keep pedaling and don't fall. So the focus is on falling. But if you say, keep pedaling and keep your balance, or steer straight, right? The focusing on the other part.
Yeah, I heard
Those
a
are just
story.
little things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard a story similar to that and it's actually a true story, where there were two kids up on a tree. They climbed, and then it started to be windy, and the parents came running out. One said to the child, "Don't fall." The other one said, "Hold on." So the one that held on stayed on. The one that said, "Don't fall," fell. And it's exactly what you're saying. The two different things. How are you going to change that? I was thinking
Exactly.
of that myself the other day. I was walking on ice, and I said, "Oh, don't fall, LaurieAnn." I thought, you know what you just did? You just set yourself up for a fall. It's like, so I'm aware of that too.
Yep, exactly.
That's
And
funny.
it's between the age of 0 till 7, you don't have your own consciousness. So everything you experience is normal for you. You're just like a sponge.
Mhm.
And like Roy said, we want to do as good as we can for our kids. And we should also realize that we're also a product or a result of our parents, and they were a product of their parents. And everybody's doing their best, but it still goes on and on until you become aware of how you can change things. Yeah. How many times haven't you spoken to somebody that says, I don't want to become like my parents, like my father and mother? And when they age, they start acting the same thing like their parents. It's
Well,
the same thing.
just for myself, because I had a really crappy childhood. So when I got married, I told my wife, I said, look, if you see me starting to act like my dad, you need to let me know, because I don't want to perpetuate this.
Yeah.
Because, and it was a couple times she said, hey, you might want to think about what you're doing, because I was intentional about not perpetuating that. My brother,
Yeah,
however,
that speaks for you, Roy.
yeah,
And you
it,
had an accountability partner in your spouse to keep you
yeah,
uh, accountable for that.
yeah. Because and my kids always ask about growing up, and I would just say, you know, it wasn't fun. That's all I ever tell them. It wasn't fun. And so, they never understood, and I said, look, it's nothing you need to know about. Let's focus on you growing up. I've already grown up. I'm concerned about you growing up now.
Yeah.
That's what's important to me. What happened to me is in the past, but like I say, I was really made a hard, conscious effort not to do that.
I have a curious question. How much do genetics, I know you say in your environment, but you would think that there is some genetic composition that would make you like your parents to a certain degree? Or is that not really as much as the environment around you?
I would say that the environment around you and the things you pick up with your subconscious mind plays a bigger part.
Okay.
There, of course, there are genetics involved, but that's more, I see that more on the physical side, like your looks, if I see pictures from if I see my own picture, I think, wow, I really look like my dad, with the face and stuff like that. And when my glasses are colored by the sun, I even look more to him because I don't see my own eyes. And yeah, but it's all your personality that's developed that could be the same like your parents, but it's the choices you make yourself that actually defines you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would think, your environment would have a bigger impact. I mean, because that's things there that you have a potential to be able to change. Your genetics, you can't.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because you hear people saying, and of course, I'm like Heinz 57. I've got, my mother is French, Italian, and little part somewhere native Canadian, Indian, and then my dad's Scottish. So there's a lot of people who go back that, well, it's got to be the Scot in me, or it's got to be the Italian in me, because Italians are known to be a lot more hot-headed. The Scots tend to be a little bit back offish. But I would imagine that's just something we say, but it's not really.
That's the thing with beliefs and values as well. If you say that Italians are more temperament, how do you say it, more high-headed, right?
Yeah.
And this is a certain belief, and once that got you focus and you act that way, you are connecting that to the Italian ancestors. And that is like a vicious circle that becomes stronger and stronger. So you're making that connection for yourself.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There we go. So none of those. I am just LaurieAnn.
Exactly.
Who I want to be.
Or a world citizen.
There you go.
So, Erwin, how can our listeners reach out to you?
Well, they can visit my website, millionairelifestrategy.com, where they can connect with me, contact me. And I'm also very, how do you say it? I'm very active on LinkedIn. Okay. So if people want to connect me directly on LinkedIn, I'm more than happy to connect with people. And if they're open to talking to me, what I can do for them, then please approach me for that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Wonderful. I learned a lot today. Thank you very much, Erwin. We appreciate your time too.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just a little small nuances. Just I'm amazed at the difference they make. Just yeah, I definitely learned a lot. We're going to pass on to my son to how to deal with those little things. So that was very helpful. Very helpful.
Yeah, it was a privilege to be on your show, LaurieAnn and Roy. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you very much.
Pleasure, and thank you for coming.
LaurieAnn, did you want to tell him about LIFT?
Oh yes, my little acronym. Okay, so our LIFT here, it's from my book, Makeup Not Required, How to Brand the True You, and it stands for LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So we will have you on all of those, along with the podcasts, all those platforms as well. And
nice.
So we turned it into Lift Your Store, which makes sense because when you're putting out on social media, you're lifting it for your wonderful guest. So thank you so much for being one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
No problem.
It was
Okay.
a pleasure meeting you.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.